the Blues earn a point against Liverpool following a spirited first half comeback in what was a thrilling encounter. Watch until the end of this review to hear all of my thoughts on today's match. Hello people, welcome to my channel, welcome to another video. This is my review of the match that took place this evening at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League between Chelsea and Liverpool, which ended in a 2-2 draw. So what I'm going to do for you guys in terms of this review is that firstly, I will run you through the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of the match. I will then be giving you guys my thoughts on the match itself, and as always, I'll be breaking it down into the first half and the second half. And of course, in addition to that, I'll be giving you guys the positives and the I'll be giving you guys the positives and the negatives that I took from the match. And lastly, I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on Chelsea's upcoming Carabao Cup semi-final first leg that will be taking place next Wednesday at Stamford Bridge against Tottenham Hotspur, with kickoff at 7:45 p.m. UK time. So without further ado, let's get straight into this review. So we begin by taking a look at the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of the match. And yes, we shall kick things off by talking about the formation that he chose. And of course, it was a 3-4-3/3-4-2-1. And yes, in my preview, I did go with a 3-4-1-2, which is of course a variant of the 3-5-2. And I did give you my reasons, but of course I understand why Thomas Tuchel went with the 3-4-3 and not the 3-5-2, because that of course is our primary system under him so far anyways. But yes, that was the formation. And in terms of the personnel he chose to field at the start of the match against Liverpool, it was Edouard Mendy in goal. The back three comprised of Trevor Chalobah, Thiago Silva and Antonio Rudiger, of course going from right to left. The midfield four, including the two wing-backs again from right to left, was Cesar Azpilicueta, N'Golo Kante, Mateo Kovacic and Marcos Alonso, and the front three was Mason Mount, Kai Havertz up front and Christian Pulisic. So that is the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of today's match against Liverpool. Now, I am going to dive into my thoughts on the match, and yes, I'm going to start off with the first half, and I have to say that we made an absolutely fantastic start to the match. We pressed Liverpool really well, we moved the ball really well, we got into really good positions with the ball, and we did create some glorious, we created some glorious opportunities that we did not take. And I'm looking at the Christian Pulisic chance in particular. Yes, that did arise from a Liverpool mistake, but that would not have been made if it wasn't for our pressing. So yes, you can argue that we created that chance still through the mistake or forcing the mistake from the Liverpool player. But honestly, Christian Pulisic should have lashed that towards goal instead of taking a touch. And what happened after that is that Liverpool went straight up the other end and got the opening goal. And yes, it came through a Trevor Chalobah mistake. He tried to chest the ball away, and no, not chest the ball. He tried to head the ball away, and it just bounces off him and falls into the path of Sadio Mane, who takes a touch, goes around him, goes around Trevor Chalobah that is, and fires the ball into the back of the net. Cesar Azpilicueta, despite his best efforts to stop the ball from going in to the back of the net, couldn't stop it from doing so. Let me rephrase that. Despite Cesar Azpilicueta's best efforts, he could not stop the ball from crossing the line. And before I give you my full thoughts on the goal, there was an incident that happened literally 6 seconds into the game, and it involved Sadio Mane and Christian. Not Christian. Sorry, Sadio Mane and Cesar Azpilicueta. I don't know why I said Christian. And when I watched the match live, I thought it was a yellow. I thought that the referee made the correct decision, but I can understand why people are saying that it should have been a red, because despite Sadio Mane looking at the ball and thus proving that his intent was to get the ball, he didn't get it, and he caught Cesar Azpilicueta with his arm. Whether it was an elbow or a wrist, we'll just have to keep looking at that and seeing, because it's always tough to see, despite the amount of times we do get shown it in slow motion when it's live on TV. But yes, I completely understand why people think it's a red. But anyways, obviously Sadio Mane stayed on the pitch, hence why he got the goal. And in terms of the goal itself, it's a terrible goal to concede. And with the way we started, it was a massive sucker punch, because we really did start well, and shortly after that we conceded the second. And I have to say that there were quite a few players who are at fault for this. Um, Marcos Alonso thought that he was going to cut in, as in Marcos Alonso thought that Mo Salah, who obviously got the second goal, was going to cut in, but he didn't. He used his shoulders really well and got past Alonso, and he just fired the ball into the back of the net past Edouard Mendy. And despite Edouard Mendy getting beaten at his near post, you can't really blame him for that. The shot was hit with a lot of, the ball was hit with a lot of pace and power. Not many keepers would save that from such close range. But Mateo Kovacic and Antonio Rudiger should have done better to get back into um, a position where they could actually stop Mo Salah from getting the ball into a position where he could shoot. And yeah, again, a poor goal to concede. And at that point, I honestly thought that it was game over. But you can always trust this team to put on a good. You can always trust this team to fight back, and that is exactly what we did. Um, Honestly, we just continued to progress the ball. Yes, Liverpool did have their spells where they threatened a third, and in all honesty, I thought they were going to score a third, but thankfully we regained our concentration. Thankfully, we minimized the amount of mistakes towards the end of the half. That is, um, and we created some more chances of our own. But the opening goal, I mean, for someone who does not score very often, or hasn't done so for the club, this goal from Mateo Kovacic is absolutely stupendous. It is absolutely stupendous. First of all, credit to Kai Havertz for winning the free kick. Definite free kick. He got brought down by James Milner in the right wing position. Marcos Alonso takes the free kick, tries to shoot. He forces Kelleher, I'm not going to try and pronounce his first name, into punching the ball out of the penalty box. And it falls to Mateo Kovacic, who does not take any touches. He moves himself backwards so he can hit the ball with his foot and not have the ball hit his shin, because if he stayed slightly more forward than he was when he took the shot, it would have hit his shin and it would not have ended up in the back of the net, or most likely wouldn't have. But yes, Mateo Kovacic takes that step back that I was just talking about, hits it with his right foot, goes off the post and into the back of the net and into the other side of the goal. That keeper had no chance of saving it. It's an absolutely brilliant goal, and despite not having any shots on target before that, or not many shots on target before that, it was a deserved goal for the way we were playing, and an absolutely brilliant goal. And I'll say it again, for someone who doesn't score very often for Chelsea, when he does score, they're often spectacular. And he has scored from outside the box for us in previous seasons, but of course, I'm not going to get into that. But yes, brilliant goal, and it got us back into the game. Um, Shortly after that, we scored the equalizer. This is brilliant from Antonio Rudiger, N'Golo Kante, and of course, the player who finished it, Christian Pulisic. Antonio Rudiger gets the ball off of the Liverpool attacker, I think it was, feeds it to N'Golo Kante, who then feeds it on to Christian Pulisic, who brings it down really well with his chest. Yes, there was a question of it possibly being ruled out for handball, but it was definitely, and possibly offside as well, but it was neither, and hence why the goal stood. But yes, Christian Pulisic brought it down really well with his chest and fired it into the top right corner with his left foot. And I have to say that it was a deserved goal. Christian Pulisic did deserve it. I felt as though he was creating some good opportunities and he was getting into good positions. he also atoned for his miss earlier on in the game, and what a way to do so! I mean, that was a brilliant finish from him, and a brilliant time for the team to score not only one goal, but a brilliant time for the team to level things up. And overall, good first half, just the silly mistakes that cost us those two goals. And in terms of my thoughts on the second half, of course, the energy levels did drop a bit because it was a high octane game. Both sides were expending a lot of energy. They did so in that first half. Um, I have to say though, despite us um, having slightly lower energy levels after the first half, we did continue to press them. We did continue to run at them. We created some glorious chances in that second half. I mean, Marcos Alonso had a brilliant chance to score with his weaker right foot. And in all honesty, he really should have done better there. In my opinion, he should have squared it when he had the chance to. But fair play to him for taking the shot on, I guess. But yes, we had some glorious chances in the second half. Just didn't take them. Yes, Liverpool did have their spells where they caused us some problems and were getting the ball through our midfield. But ultimately, I felt that we were solid. We controlled the game. And again, we caused them all sorts of problems. They had to really work for the point that they ended up getting, and we were forcing them into making mistakes, which is something that you will not hear anyone say about Liverpool often because Liverpool are normally the team that will force you into making mistakes, and we did that to them today. And overall, I have to say that it was a great performance, but we really should have won that game. We should have won that game. Some of you may disagree, but that's my opinion. That's what I think. That's what I believe. And in terms of the positives and the negatives that I took from the match, two positives, one negative. We're going to start off with the positives, of course. The first one is that Mateo Kovacic was absolutely superb, not just because of the goal, but because of the way he was distributing the ball and the way he was dribbling past Liverpool players and and shielding the ball whilst trying to dribble. He also won a couple of free kicks for us as well, which was great to see. He was easily the best player on the pitch, and I felt as though it was the perfect decision for Thomas. It was the perfect decision for him to start um, because against a team like Liverpool that will press you, we needed someone in that midfield who is press resistant and can dribble and distribute the ball. And he had a great game, great game. He could have scored another um, if he had taken some more shots, maybe, but he had a fantastic game. Again, easily the best player on the pitch and deserved the man of the match award. The second positive that I took from the match is that the players showed a lot of heart out there, despite the circumstances surrounding certain players. And I'm not going to get too much into that because honestly, that shouldn't take the headlines after what was an enthralling game between two clubs that are hunting for a Premier League title. But yes, it was a brilliant performance, and I'll say it again: we should have won. We really should have won. But yes, that's the two positives that I took from the match. The only negative that I took is that the mistakes in the first half did cost us. We gave the ball away quite cheaply at times, despite putting in a solid first half performance, in my opinion, overall, that is. And we've got to cut those out because we do have some very big games coming up. And our next Premier League game is against Manchester City, but I'm not going to give you guys my thoughts on that because that game will be played on the 15th, which is 2 Saturdays away. But anyways, that is it for my thoughts on our 2-2 draw with Liverpool. And do feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to see them. And we shall now move on to my thoughts on Chelsea's upcoming Carabao Cup semi-final first leg against Tottenham Hotspur. Now, to wrap up this review, I am going to give you guys my thoughts on our upcoming Carabao Cup semi-final first leg against Tottenham Hotspur that will be taking place next Wednesday at Stamford Bridge with kickoff at 7:45 p.m. UK time. Honestly, if we play like this in our upcoming game, then we have every chance of winning. Yes, there's a chance that rotation will be needed because we um, did play a really high intensity game against a strong Liverpool team, and that will tire the players out. But hopefully, they're able to recuperate themselves or recuperate in time for the game. Hopefully, there are no injury concerns because we have had some more players go out due to injury, i.e., the likes of Reece James and Andreas Christensen also missed out as well. So hopefully, we do see some players return to the squad as well, and hopefully, we can do a job on Spurs. That would be very nice. It is going to be interesting because Antonio Conte will be coming back to Stamford Bridge, but we just have to do a job and get the win because there will be two legs this time and not one. So hopefully we turn up. Hopefully we realize what this game means, and hopefully we get the job done against these. Hopefully we get the job done against Spurs. But that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it as that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all very soon. Come on, you Blues. Come on, Thomas Tuchel. And peace.